Any event, I can't think of a time that is more exciting than this week. And so I'm really excited about the conversations. They're going to be vibrant conversations that will be occurring during this inaugural week, and especially the dialogue that will occur during this APIAVote briefing. And so it really makes me very, very happy. Warms my heart, as they say, to see so many of our community leaders who have come from across the country gathered to be here in D.C. for this significant event. But what's even more significant is to be able to see new and young faces who are joining us today. And I want to thank APIAVote and Vida Benavidez for her work, her hard work as Executive Director of APIAVote. And all of their national staff and volunteers and local partners across the country in helping educate and then reaching out, and most importantly, mobilizing people across the country for the vote on the 4th of November in our Asian American and Pacific Islander communities. This has been an unprecedented election year. And so in terms of our electoral and civic engagement, this has been a sea change in terms of what is happening at the local, state, and national levels. Now, the whole issue of trying to reach out to voters was really very, very important, and it's amazing to see how APIAVote was able to target in 14 states, making those 14 states so critical in terms of the total vote that came out. And so, in addition to working with the partners and other organizations, APIAVote was able to lead the way in protecting and documenting the vote. Now, as a whole, all of our communities have come a long way, but as history always tells us, we always have a longer way to go. And so I'm glad that this briefing today will address that trajectory that we're on. So the question is, how do we translate our electoral and civic engagement in this sea of change that is happening to translate it into action at the local, state, and national levels? And I'm glad to see that APIAVote and our community leadership have gathered together to begin a national conversation on subjects that will include, first, our new administration's transition personnel and policy processes. And that panel will have those who are intimately working on that issue. Secondly, our own community's policy agenda and priorities. And then how deciding among ourselves the best advocacy for these issues. And then thirdly, our infrastructure, how to maintain and strengthen our growing political mechanisms that now exist as a result of this political mobilization that we've experienced now in the last year or so. Now, as chair of the Norman Wymanetta Leadership Institute, I believe very strongly that we have to make it a priority to equip our leaders, not only those who we have with us today, but our future leaders to further our community's agenda in the policy and political agenda. And it is through that leadership development, young and old, that we as a community must invest our resources. Now, from civic engagement, you grow into electoral and political engagement, and then to governance. And there is a big difference as you make this transition from political to electoral to governance. And so our community must not only get out the vote, but we also have to be at the table when these decisions are being made day to day that impact on our society as a whole. And for too long, we have been tapped for our financial resources and not enough in terms of our human resources. And that's why it is very, very important that all of you are here and that we hear from those who are in the transition as well as now making, starting tomorrow, making those decisions in the Presidential Personnel Office as to who goes where and to what jobs. So we have entered into an era where our country is facing dire domestic, social, and international challenges. So it will be through our collective leadership to help assist to think about creative solutions that will help elevate the conditions that we as Asian American Pacific Islanders face, and especially not only to know the issues that we're facing in our own communities, but very importantly, working in conjunction with other communities. So in the backdrop of this week's inaugural week at festivities, we all celebrate the dawn of a new generation of leadership in our country. And so it is with a great deal of hope, vision, and dedication that our conversations today will strengthen our ability to work within our communities, that will translate and harness our collective power. Again, I just want to say to all of you, thanks a million for all of your work in the last, let's say, two and a half years, from those who made that early commitment to support candidates of their choice, and as those candidates dropped out, joining other campaigns, but in any event, still coalescing together to be able to bring to fruition, after the convention, a tremendous electoral victory on the 4th of November. So now the question is, how do we take those outstanding results that we saw on the 4th of November now into governance? Because campaigning is one facet of it, but governance is the important result that you win, and now we have to make sure we get that right. So here we are on January 19th, Martin Luther King Jr. Day, talking about moving our dream forward. Thanks a million.